Oh, that is heartbreaking. They were trying to save themselves. Generic intro into that goes Moo here, back with another Minecraft game theory video. Today we're doing the part 2 about the underwater theories for Minecraft, which is the tragedy of Minecraft's sunken tomb, which the last one was the drowned gods, which I feel like that was like 3 or 4 weeks ago. You check my reaction to that video, I'll leave it right up there, also link down below in the description, and there will probably be a playlist on my channel with all of my game theory Minecraft reactions going in chronological order. Yeah, we took a little bit of a break there because MatPat's final theory, the secret endings, and the FNAF videos and stuff like that, but we're finally back to the Minecraft game theories, which a lot of people say are the best series that he's done, or the best videos that he's done, and it's actually been really interesting to hear about it. So I've been playing Minecraft since like March of 2011. No, yeah, 2011. God, that was actually 13 years ago. Wow, I am getting old. Shout out to the patrons. They get the videos there early. A lot of time on a Patreon channel. Couldn't do this if it was not for them. Like I said, they get the videos a day early. $3 a month. Get you all my reaction videos a day early. Also, if you can't become a patron and you enjoy the video, you can definitely subscribe to some of these featured videos. I'm trying to hit 100,000 subscribers before my birthday in July, which is kind of approaching faster than I thought it would be. We just hit 89,000 subscribers today, the time of recording. So the last 11,000 hit 100K, which is a crazy milestone. But shout out to all the people here. Thank you for clicking on the video for the first time here. Hope I can make your day a tiny little bit better. I do read our comments, at least them down below. But let's go and jump into the tragedy of Minecraft's sunken tomb. All right.
Waves are not measured in feet or inches.
What are they?
They're measured in increments of fear.
Is that true?
The ocean is an object of no small terror. There are three sorts of people.
The ocean is
those
terrifying.
who are alive, those who are dead, and those who are at sea.
Oh. That's actually a very interesting quote. The Underwater
Hello,
Theory
Internet.
sequel.
Welcome to Game Theory, where first off, thank you
For
for
what?
showing up in force to our St. Jude charity live
Oh,
stream last
yeah.
week. With your help, we were able to raise $1,330,000 for children with childhood cancer. $1.3
I've raised money for St.
million
Jude's. Not on
in
YouTube.
just
No, have I?
10 hours of
I don't know if
time.
I have
That
on
is
YouTube.
money that is going to a pure
'Cause I do,
good cause,
with some of my
saving the
nostalgic
lives of
videos.
children and kicking cancer's butt once and for all. I know we said it a lot during the live stream, but in case you weren't there,
Thank you guys, it's really awesome. It makes such a difference.
It's literally buying back the lives of children. All this money that is being raised right now is
That's a lot of
going
Nintendo
to
Switches.
save more kids.
Markiplier
that are
with
coming to the door to St. Jude.
so thank you
4,000.
guys. Thank you for being there. Thank you for
Odd
showing
Ones
the
Out,
world that
Markiplier.
being a
I don't know who the other
YouTuber
people
or
are.
being a fan of YouTube, being a gamer, none of those things have to be dirty words. That is the power of communities united to
Yeah,
make
no,
a
I wasn't
change.
watching Game
That's
Theory
pretty
when that
darn
happened.
incredible. And then,
I only
along with
started watching
raising that
Game Theory
amazing
with
amount
the,
of money, I also got myself dunked, egged, and shaved by some of my best friends both on and off YouTube. All in all, it was pretty amazing across
Wait a
the
minute.
board. So
Why does that
thank
guy
you
look
for being
familiar?
there, and thank you for helping to make December 3rd the single
Who is
proudest
the?
day
There was
of
a
my
dude that
YouTube
was like
career. So
doing
now let's talk
fake
about
charity
pirates.
stuff
Yarr.
that was
You see,
recently
last
revealed.
time we started our
Right?
deep
That was a
dive
thing,
into
right?
the underwater
Most
mysteries
critical
of
talked about it. I don't know who it
Minecraft's
was.
overworld. We first turned our attention
But
to
for
the
some- was
Guardian
that him?
and
I don't
Elder
know.
Guardian mobs, pointing
I don't
out
think
that
it was.
they definitely
Could
don't
be
seem
wrong.
to be organic fish-like creatures. From their bodies composed of prismarine block to their inability to suffocate when left on land, from dropping crystals to launching eye lasers with decidedly non-fishy anatomy, these creatures of the deep appear to be more man-made than fish-made, almost as if they were intended to be a security device for the ocean monuments that they call their home.
Yeah, which is
obviously
protecting
then led us
what?
to start exploring the ocean monuments. Buildings that, at least in my estimation, appear to have religious significance. The ziggurat-style architecture, the 23 support columns, the mysterious cube of gold hidden in the middle of the building, all of it pointing towards some
ordinary
sort of
gamers. No,
memorial
that's somebody
dedicated
else.
to honoring a higher power. But you'll notice that during that last episode, I left things on a bit of a cliffhanger, leaving one key question unanswered.
Apparently, a lot of people
Who
said
made
he was
these
pretty
things?
accurate.
If the Guardians and the Elder Guardians are some sort of machine or security device, well, someone must have created them. Same thing with the Ocean Monument. If these massive structures really were built as religious structures for god worship, well, who built them to worship those gods in the first place? The answer might at first seem pretty obvious, right? The drowned, the underwater zombies that swim around throwing their tridents at you and making underwater exploration just a big ol' headache. Because they're the only humanoids underwater.
That is
it
that
seems
guy,
like it
isn't
clearly
it?
must be them, right? And it is. Or at least it's my theory that they're the ones who built these structures, but
The
not for the reasons.
Maybe
that
they were
we
trying to come back to
You
life,
see,
actually.
There's a lot to show the history of the drowned. their connection to these monuments, and how they became the drowned in the first place. Spoiler alert,
Wait a
these guys
minute.
aren't just zombies who
If
fell
it's
into the
supposed
water,
to be-
even if that's one of the ways that they spawn nowadays. No, the drowned were, at least at one point in
Isn't-
history, land-faring people.
Islamic
Who, so many of the other
funerals, don't
mobs in
they put the
Minecraft,
bodies in
underwent
the
a
ocean or
horrific
something?
Catastrophe. But to see why and what it was, let's start at the end of our story and work back.
Isn't that
To begin,
Huck
how
the Bear?
could
I'm-
we possibly know
Forgive
that
me
it
if
was
I'm
the
wrong.
drowned who built the ocean
Right?
monuments and the guardians that protect them? Two major reasons. First, the drowned are immune to guardian and elder guardian attacks. If the guardians are indeed protecting a holy sanctuary, well, you'd assume they'd protect it from all different types of intruders, not just us as the player. And yet, the drowned mob gets a pass in the eyes, or should I say, the eye of the guardian. This only makes sense if the
they
drowned
get
are
mining
somehow
fatigue,
connected
though?
to the monument and or the initial
would
construction
explain that they
of
built
those
it.
guardians. It would be pretty darn stupid to install a security system and then not write in an exception for you and the people that you trust. This tells us then that the drowned are approved to come and go as they please, while outsiders
What other mobs
like us
are
as
allowed
the player
in?
character are actively discouraged from sneaking in and desecrating this ancient place of worship. Our second key piece of evidence is gold. Now, we already covered last episode the mysterious blocks of gold found hidden in the middle of the ocean. monuments. This,
Which,
in
I
and of
mean, the
itself,
sponge is more
bizarre,
valuable than the
since
gold.
The entire rest of the structure is just varieties of prismarine block and sea lantern. But if you look at other ruins left behind under the ocean and the loot that is found inside
gold?
of those ruins, you see it again. More gold. Gold in the form
Well, I
of
mean,
nuggets, gold in the form of apples,
pirates
gold in the form of
liked
helmets.
gold, didn't they?
So gold and underwater structures seem to be connected. And wouldn't you know it, gold also happens to be one of the 4 drop items of the drowned, with the other 3
What?
being rotten flesh, tridents, and nautilus shells. And this gold connection
can't drop
immediately
gold
differentiates
blocks.
the
Maybe they'll
drowned
drop gold
from
nuggets.
normal zombies. Normal zombies sink when they're put underwater, and they drop not gold, but iron. So even though drowned do spawn from zombies that are dropped in the water, that isn't where their origin story lies, at least from a lore perspective. And that's the story that I'm most interested in today. So between being
wait a
given
minute,
security
could you
clearance by the
get
Guardians,
a
as well
zombie
as being the
spawner,
only underwater creatures carrying a key resource that's found
drown
inside
them,
those structures, as well as their
and then turn
chests,
into a
seems
gold
pretty darn
farm?
clear, like the drowned are builders. It also begins to tell
guess
us
gold
that the
isn't that
drowned,
valuable.
as well as all these underwater buildings, might not have always been underwater. Look closer at the ocean ruin loot lists. What do you
Wheat.
see stand out? Wheat and rotten flesh. Food was being stored inside of these chests for the people who once lived here. The meat has been kept in the chest for so long
That
that
it's
it's gotten
rotted.
rotten, and the wheat, well, it just doesn't really go bad in this game. But if the drowned truly
Only in
did
the
build
game.
these structures, which it seems like they did, why would underwater zombie creatures need food? Heck, why would any underwater society, living
Would
or
it be
dead,
a
be growing and
sacrifice
storing wheat in its
thing?
chests? Which, in case you know nothing about farming, is definitely not an underwater crop. This thing ain't
No.
no cranberry. Let's put a pin in that, because now let's look at the ocean monuments. I made a joke last episode about the monuments tending to spawn with sponge rooms built in.
I mean, they always
huge
do.
rooms with bunches of wet sponges just hanging on the ceiling. Haha, isn't that weird? Insert joke about a loofah room. Let's talk about religion the rest of the episode. But what I glossed over for the
mean,
sake of the
it
time
did.
last episode, and what
Which
I
a lot of
want to
people
point
said
out
it was
now is that
fairly
those
accurate.
aren't just naturally
That was a
occurring
crash course.
sponges. It's not like you wander around the ocean monument and just find sponges in the environment around you. No, these are dedicated rooms for housing the sponge as a unique resource.
Or does it
now,
spawn
for those of you
or,
who
like,
don't know
grow
the
in there?
specific use of a sponge in Minecraft, it can suck up to 65 water blocks before
Really?
becoming a wet and therefore useless sponge.
Well, until
It's
you
most
dry
often
it.
used for drying out areas of the map. But again, why would an underwater civilization, an
And how did water get in the
underwater
sponge from
ruin
anyway?
need a
How did the water get in
storehouse
there?
of things used for sucking up water? The answer is it doesn't. An underwater ruin doesn't need anything like that. But a ruin that's above the ground and starting to sink under the water absolutely
Needs sponges.
does.
But
So
why is it
what am I
only
trying
in
to
one
say?
room?
What happened here? What does
Or maybe
some
it went so
wheat
fast
and
they
some
couldn't
sponges
get it
tell
out of
us
the room?
about this civilization? Well, the evidence seems to suggest that we have ourselves a civilization that started on the surface, but that eventually got washed under the water. The question then becomes whether this was the result of a major natural disaster like a tsunami
Or a
just
flood.
slowly rising tides. To me, I'd say it was that latter option.
Probably,
the fact
yeah.
that sponges were being used in the ocean monument as a means of keeping it dry suggests that they were trying to prolong the drowning of everything as long as possible before it became too late. On a side note here, I know
where-
that there's a larger Minecraft theory out there that
Which
members of
is?
the fan base have had for years, where the whole Minecraft story is the end result of global warming. And while I'm not covering that particular theory today, you can
I guess that would
definitely
be the
chalk
rising
ocean
water.
monuments and the rising tides that swallowed the drowned civilization as pretty darn strong evidence supporting that hypothesis. But we're still not done, because the story of the drowned and their buildings doesn't just stop there. You see, the drowned didn't just dab a few sponges around and call it a day when they saw their world slowly being swallowed up by the powers of Neptune himself. If we
saved
look
the
at
city.
the evidence, we learn every step of their story. A story that, like so many of the other mobs in this game, is a tragic one.
Oh, they're all
One
sad.
of desperately trying to survive in the face of certain death, and those hopes of
villager?
survival ultimately being dashed like waves along the rocks. This, my friends, is the complete story of the drowned. The drowned began on land as a normal seafaring civilization of fishermen and pirates. We know this because of their natural affinity with water, as well as the fact that they spawn equipped with both fishing rods and tridents, two common tools
For
for
fishing.
ancient fishermen. And yes, although they've now been replaced with fishing spears, tridents were indeed an old school fishing
Yep,
tool used
because
in
there was-
ancient Greece as like a harpoon for nabbing some fish kebabs.
Yeah.
That's why
Well-
you always see Poseidon and Neptune depicted with a trident. Cue the more
It's
you
also
know.
easier to
I
hit
say that this
than
ancient
one spear.
civilization
You got
were
basically
pirates
3
as
spears.
well, because the drowned mob is hostile towards villagers and wandering traders. This seems to indicate that a large part of their old culture involved raiding villages for their various supplies.
So are they
and
pirates?
just old habits die hard. The loot you find in ocean ruined chests also seems to support this. Whereas most other chests throughout the game, in places like the Nether Fortresses or the End, have very consistent materials telling a very clear story of where a society was at a certain point in time and what resources they had to get there. The ocean ruined chests are kind of filled with a
Everything,
mishmash of stuff.
which
You got some
means it's a
coal,
collection of
gold, emeralds,
things you'd find around the
stone
world.
items mixed in there for some reason, leather. It's almost as if they've been taking whatever supplies they can grab from lots of different places around the world and just
And-
shoving them in their chests. Plus, I gotta admit, the drowned are hostile towards baby turtles, and no
Baby
one
tur-
nice is hostile towards baby turtles. So
That is-
they gotta be
they're
pirates.
so cute.
Putting aside the pirate
They're
business,
so
we know
small.
for sure that they were a fishing and water-based culture that also happened to be deeply religious. But then the waters started to rise. Sure, they tried their
Do you
best
think
to hold back the floods
maybe
using
they
sponges,
raised
but
the
it
water?
clearly wasn't enough.
Maybe they
the
worshipped the
waters
oceans.
weren't receding. If nothing was done, their whole world would be swallowed up by the very oceans their livelihoods were
But they're
dependent
like,
on.
yeah.
So they did what they know best. Their best fishermen took off into the ocean. Why? Because they were in search for one thing, the heart of the sea. Notice inside ocean ruin
still have no
chests
idea what
there's
that thing
one
even does.
additional item that really stands out, the buried treasure map. Now, this is important. There are 3 types of maps in the game of Minecraft: ocean, woodland, and buried treasure.
Which,
The
it's
first
so
2
hard to
are
get the woodland
fairly
one for some
standard.
reason.
They're sold by pretty much any cartographer. But the last
I
one,
could not
the
get a
buried
cartographer
treasure
to sell me a
map,
woodland
can
mansion.
only be found in the remnants of the drowned civilization, underwater ruins, and shipwrecks. And that shipwreck detail is important. It tells us that these fishermen went out into the oceans on their boats, carrying these maps, looking for the treasure that was hidden on those maps. Now, buried treasure in Minecraft is pretty interesting. It can include everything from TNT
It can have a
to
lot,
cake
yeah.
to chainmail armor. Basically, lots of different items can all be found inside of these hidden chests. And, like all buried treasure, most of the stuff you're gonna find is gonna be common, boring, everyday items that could probably just as easily have been crafted or bought at a store. But there's one
The heart of
unique
the
item
sea.
that can only
Which
be
I have
found
no idea what it even
inside
does.
these buried treasure chests.
I still don't.
The heart of the sea.
I haven't made
I
a,
suspect
what, a
this item
conduit?
was a bit of a myth to the drowned civilization. An old fisherman's tale about some mysterious object. An all-powerful blue pearl that could somehow allow a
there's
person to be
many of
master
them.
of the waves. I mean, consider this. In the game, the heart of the sea only has one functional use: building conduits. These
Is that how you
conduits
make a
bestow
conduit?
the effect
Oh.
conduit power, an area of effect status boost that gives anyone in the area who's touching water the skills of water breathing,
Wait, you
night
have to be
vision,
touching
and
water?
haste. 3 skills that would be pretty darn essential for a society frantically rushing to fight against the rising tides. Water
They
breathing
were
to
trying
survive
to
the suffocating
save
waves,
themselves.
Night vision to work around the clock, making darkness just as productive as the day, and haste to speed up the building process as time continues to tick down and as the tides continue to rise. This was their hope, to find
that
the
is-
mysterious and super
that is
rare heart
heartbreaking.
of the sea object.
That
the
is-
one thing that they believed could save them. And with the waters
A heart of
quickly
the sea.
rising into
But
their
then
homes,
why
there
did
was
they they
no
buried the
place left
treasure?
to turn. No other solution. They had to find this object, myth or otherwise. So they sent out their ships by the hundreds, carrying their
Trying to
maps
find
and
the heart
fishing
of the
gear,
sea.
desperately searching the waves,
who
knowing
put
that
the heart of the
lives
seas
of their
there?
loved ones hang in the balance. And as you can imagine, many aren't able to survive the journey.
They
You'll
had to
notice
save
that there are
everyone.
many shipwrecks sprinkled
lot.
along the bottom of the ocean, broken husks of boats that contain those treasure maps, ships wrecked upon the rocks, or sucked down by whirlpools in the sea. Meanwhile, those left at home collect nautilus shells, the other ingredient necessary to build those conduits, ready to make the conduit once one person, one sailor finds that elusive heart of the sea, but it never comes. No one
Yeah, they
ever
never got it
discovers
back.
Help never arrives back home. That's why we never find a naturally existing conduit in the world. And so this fishing society
Whoa.
sinks. Their buildings and monuments get swallowed by the waves. The fishermen cast out and buried in the sea. They become literally the drowned. Without the
But what is the
conduit's
timeline?
power,
Were they
float
around the
on
same
waters of the
time
ocean. They
as
become
the
undead that continue
the
to
end
haunt
builders?
and fish in bodies of water to this day. That's why they swim at our speed. They don't have the power of haste. That's why they still carry their nautilus shells, waiting and ready
For the
when
heart of the
someone
sea.
finally finds that one last item.
I
that
think I
could
have
saved
several.
them. It's also why when you, as the player, are finally able to find that heart of the sea and construct a conduit, the name of the
I've never done
achievement is an odd one. Muskströmen, the name of one of the world's strongest tidal currents that's located in Norway. It's odd, right? But in English, it's translated as the Maelstrom, a body of water so violent, so turbulent, that it inspired countless fictional authors. It's the
Like-
raging currents that swallowed up Captain Nemo and Jules Verne's 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. It's
What?
mentioned by Captain Ahab and Herman Melville's
I
Moby
haven't.
Dick, and it's here in Minecraft as an achievement for doing what the drowned could never do: survive the maelstrom of the rising
why
waters,
weren't they
the
able to-
waves that would rip apart a society and finally conquer.
Because they got put in the chest
waves.
somehow
But, hey,
by
that's
somebody.
just a
How is it? What did it originate from? I have so many questions. This is good. Scott Cawthon, of course. Yeah, Markiplier. Ocean Spray Cranberry. And maybe that's why he mentioned cranberries in this one. NC family. Okay, there's a lot of people. NC can't beat me. Who is NC? Like Nostalgia Critic or North Carolina? Maybe not. Maybe none of the above. Okay, that was a phenomenal theory. The idea that honestly sounds like a movie. Like the whole the tides are rising, and it seemed to really like maybe they wanted to raise the tides. Maybe it was their idea, but they bit off more than they can chew, and then it started to consume their world, which is kind of weird that they all built them at a certain level that's under sea level, which is a little bit of a weird thing for them to do, but that's very, very, very interesting. The heart of the sea. They were trying to find the heart of the sea, but who put it in the chest? They were looking for it. Who gave them the treasure map? I don't know. I don't know a timeline. Like did they exist before Enderman? I have no idea. This is very interesting. I look forward to reading your comments. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. I hope I made it a tiny little bit better. But until next video, take care and cue the music.
We were playing as soldiers, making swords.